electronics fired up.
No. It's important.
Yeah. Things have changed since I first started doing this.
How long have you been doing this?
90, I think 96, just before the ordinance was approved. Well, I was like on the board for a month and they approved the real ordinance. Yeah, Royce Hyde, he told me it would be a good time to get on the board because they'd have some real rules.
It's a good thing, right?
Yeah, because before, it was not quite as, I mean, they had them, but it was not, until they adopted the 36. All right, so I'm gonna call this meeting to order, and we will start with roll call, please.
Tim Scarberry.
Here.
Rich Erickson.
Here.
Greg Carnes.
Here.
Joe Troman.
Here.
Don Buckeye.
Here. All right. So I guess we'll start with the minutes, approval of the minutes of the October meeting, which I'm still trying to figure out why I wasn't here, but I wasn't.
And will be accepted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
You recused yourself.
I recused myself. Oh, that's what it was, yeah. I was trying to figure out, because
Tim, was that you? Rich's motion? Or was that?
I did.
Don motion,
I second.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
and then all in favor. I don't think Tim was here either, right?
No. Yeah, last time I wasn't here.
So- Yeah, recused, yeah, because of Brad and Roseanne.
Truth of the matter is you were out hunting.
That could have been. No, they're friends. I couldn't. It wouldn't have been right. Anyway, all right, we will dive right into business. In
Appeal number 1, a request by Lisa Baer and David Micah for a 39-foot front yard setback variance and a yard location variance to allow for an existing barn to remain at its current location on the property after building a new dwelling located at 10115 Fawcett Road, Fenton, Michigan, 48430, parcel ID 4704283005. The property is owned FR Farming Residential, reference Tyrone Township Ordinance number 36, section 20.01, Schedule of Regulations 21.02, B2C.
All right, thank you. Okay, Lisa, could you kind of give us a little overview on what your plan is and why you need this variance?
So, there's currently a house on the property. We bought it 5 years ago. And we hope to build a house on the property. And the way it is currently, the current house that's there and the existing barn, they are not to the 150-foot setback that you guys require. So that's the first request, because we would like to eventually restore the barn if we can. It's a beautiful barn, so we don't necessarily want to have to demo it just to build on the property. And in addition to that, then we're requesting to build behind the barn on the property, because the way that it's written now, we can't build in front of it. And then with the setback, it kind of makes it unbuildable the way that it is currently. So that is our plan.
Is the current home behind the barn?
No, the current home is in front of the barn.
I drive by there, I can't recall
The
exactly.
Really.
It's really close,
Really
it's close to
close.
the barn.
Yeah.
The barn's not that close, the house is really close.
Yeah.
Right.
Just trying to make sure I have it straight.
So if I read this right, your hardship is that you want to maintain this historic barn, but in order for you to build the house within our ordinance setback, you have to be behind the barn.
Right, so we would have to demo the barn in order to build, where we need to build
Right.
with a 150-foot setback.
So,
Both the barn and the home, are they existing non-conforming, both of them?
right.
So
So,
the home would have to be considered only, not these two structures? Maybe I'm mixing that up.
well, the home isn't conforming now.
Correct. We plan to demo the home.
Right. So,
So the barn and the home are non-conforming.
in my opinion, they're improving the nonconformity by demoing one of the nonconforming structures.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, sure, I'm just trying to understand like the variances to.
Well,
to
she
have
wants
a
to
barn
keep the
in-
barn.
To have a barn in the front
The
yard.
barn
is
in the front,
variance,
the barn in the front yard is the variance. You have to remove it, you tore everything down, she could just do what she wanted at 150.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If she tore them both down, she
But
would
then-
be,
but then
she
you
would
tear
be
down.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she wants to keep the barn.
She wants to maintain this barn and keep it in her front yard. And the barn is too close to the road. So she needs two variances.
If you need a variance for the barn, if it's already there. For the barn's distance from the road. It's technicality, but
Yeah.
just kind of what I was
Yeah.
thinking when we were looking at this.
I suppose if you read our ordinance, she probably could fight it in court if we deny.
Because I think
Yeah.
this property is very old, isn't it? It was
Yeah.
prior to our ordinance, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
The-
Oh, yeah.
It's prior to
Yeah. That's why I say historic,
Yeah.
historic barn, because I,
I don't know when the barn was built, but I know that house was like the first wood framed home like in Tyrone Township. So it's been there a long time.
And then the thing here says you're gonna demo or move.
We have somebody who's interested in moving it. Getting that to actually happen, I'm not sure, because it's gonna cost a lot of money. If she wants to move it just for historical value, but again, it would be very costly.
So it's not you that's considering moving it to a
No.
different place? of the
No,
property?
someone else reached out to us that they wanted to move it if we were planning on demoing it, so.
Yeah. My guess is it's the Historical Society in the township.
It might end up over here.
Well,
Hey,
they're all about saving the barns, and
Yeah, the barn.
I'm kind of the same mindset. I hate to see them
Plus, we
disappear.
kind of set a precedence on it also.
Yeah, we've done what, three now?
Three of them, yeah.
So,
Are you guys, rather than just modernizing the barn, are you going to expand it or anything like that in the
we didn't
future?
plan to expand it, we just wanted to restore it, stabilize it. At this point, we stabilize it, then hopefully restore it down the line.
But not increase the size or anything.
We all set here? I'll ask if there's any oral comments from the audience. How about any written
No,
correspondence? None?
none.
All right, well then I guess we'll,
I
close.
move that we accept the variance.
I'll second it.
That was you.
Yeah. So we are, a motion to accept the variance as requested.
Take a vote. Tim Scarberry,
Yes.
Rich Erickson,
Yes.
Joe Troman,
Yes.
Don Blanco,
Yes.
Greg Thomas.
Yes. Well, there we go, Lisa.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Joyce Prowse of the Historical Barn Society comes in and take pictures and puts in the paper.
Yep. Like to maintain our rural character. Tyrone Township. Rural character.
Oh, yeah.
All right, how about the second?
Okay, appeal number 2. The request by Eric Olson for a 15-foot yard setback variance to build a new dwelling and a 50-foot front yard setback and front yard location variance to build a pole barn at 10535 Heartland Road, Etna, Michigan, 48430. Parcel ID 4704 10200 042. The property is zoned RE Rural Estate, reference Tyrone Township Ordinance number 36, section 20.01. Schedule of regulations 21.02 B2C.
Eric?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Yeah, sure, that's
So everybody
fine.
can see you all around.
Absolutely. So, you want to give us a little summary of what you're requesting?
Absolutely. We purchased property probably close to 18 months now. At the time, we were given limited information on the condition of the grounds, it was heavily wooded at the time. So we started pulling permits as usual, we kind of ran into some stumbling blocks. Number one was with Eagle. There was a previously unidentified, at least to me, an area of wetlands. So I'm trying to do a balancing act between what the setbacks that we were given. I think in the packet, you have the original plan, which was given to us, the drawing with the setbacks that were inaccurate, or at least the time that this was written were accurate. Then we had to modify it to get the rural estate setbacks to 30 feet and 100 feet back, which put us right into the very edge of a peat bog. So we've been working with Eagle. I have filed paperwork with them, and we're working through their process. But I need to get the variance. The biggest one we have is the setback for the outbuilding to the house, which is going to be now in front of the structure in order to keep it out of the wetlands as much as possible. I'm sure the board is well aware that if you keep it below 1/10 of an acre, they kind of look at it as a minor incursion, and they're more likely to approve it than if we kind of do the full scale and get into it. Mostly for cost reasons on my side. I want to do the best I can because of the 10-to-1 rule. For every 1 acre, you have to build 10 acres additional. So I think you also have this packet right here, which was a sketch that I provided to both to yourself and to Eagle. of the way that we can kind of minimize and take advantage of the natural contours of the property to do have a walkout basement. This will be the final build on there. There will be no other additional structures being put up on the property.
On that sketch, what is the red line?
The red lines at the very top there, just below the north arrow, you see that it's a 36-inch silt fence.
Okay.
So there's going to be two silt fences. One of them is in the back that was established last year through the county, through the Drain Commission. And then once we discovered what was really going on here on the property, then I have a secondary one that kind of follows that little green line, which is the edge of the bog. So right now I have a silt fence that kind of outlines that little bump to the west going into where the house is. There's a natural contour right there to stop any erosion from the road that we placed in back a year ago. So that red line is, you can see where I have the little ear bent over on the inside of the green line there. And then I want to show the deviation where we're going to go straight over to what we're going to future and call it a knoll. It's basically a rise in the area on the topos. And that's where we're going to contain any silting and possibly a retaining wall with a future drain to take any surface runoff to take that away to not allow the bog to drain down the hill. Where the existing silt fence is, there's probably a good 20-foot fall off going down to Goodfellow Lake that we want to try and protect.
Can we put the drawings up on the screen?
Yeah.
I think I need to.
Are you
finger
putting
pointing?
on hold for just?
Let me just see if I can. What would you like up there?
Whatever question you want me to answer, you've got the whole packet I can send out there.
Yeah,
So
we got
whatever-
everything right here, electronically, so.
The color topographical that was there was helpful to me, but it went onto the wrong part of the property.
The topo or the
That one
color?
right there, yeah.
This
This
one?
one right here, this is ASTI, this is an engineering survey that was given to me back almost in August of this year, or almost a year after I purchased the property, I found it. And this was not in the packet that was given to me at the time of sale. So, that one is a great one. Would you like to explain
Yeah,
what we're actually looking at here?
Yeah, we're trying to outline exactly where you're at in regards to that.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna slide these chairs back just for a second so I can stand next to the screen and
Yeah.
you guys can see what I'm looking at here. So originally, on the first submission that we did to the township for the land use permit,
Right there.
okay,
Okay.
we initially had a 50-foot setback, which is, if you look at this map, and I'm sorry to jump around, guys,
No,
but if you look at this one, this is actually version 4 of what we had done so far to kind of mitigate everything. So original site use map was everything was going to be 50 feet, which we have identified as a green space, which is right in this area right here. And we have a 50-foot setback from the ROI, or ROW, I should say, and everything was going to be squared up. Then, working with Ross here at the township, we realized that there was a new ordinance, or an ordinance was just made aware that we had to have 30 and 100 feet back. So that 100 foot pushed us back down off the edge over here and put us right where AA 70 is going to be. So that's where the house is, and there's a little depression right here that the surface water runs off that kind of goes back over here to what the other piece of property is, which is A2. So we wanted to stay out of that drain area right there and to minimize the amount, and this is what I'm deeming as the knoll, so if I reference that, this is just a high area that's up out of the wetland. So the proposal is to take where I have the little pencil line here, and this jetty here, and kind of square it up going into the knoll. The house is going to be here, rotated 20 degrees, which over the length of the house actually turns out to be 20 feet offset. And then we're going to put the outbuilding right here, 100% out of that little depression area for runoff. And then the house will be angled over there. This keeps us within the 4,300 square feet to allow us to have a minor incursion into that. Again, that's by going through Eagle's recommendation. Sorry, let me step out. We'll see.
So, I'm having trouble here.
You want me to step up?
Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
All right. This is your lot?
I have 2 lots.
Okay,
Yes.
this is both, and that's why I'm.
Yeah, it's.
You got both of these?
I have both of those. yes.
Okay.
So, and you were right, the one that's not highlighted,
Yeah.
this one right here, this is A2.
Yeah.
And this is the one we're on here because this lends
Yeah.
itself to a walkout basement.
Okay, I'm looking at this.
Yeah, it was, I just,
Okay.
I think I put a second one into that where I kind of blew this up, but I wanted to have the prints to where we can see what I'm talking about, the offsets that,
Yeah.
this was given to me as well as the topo, and then the health department gave me the 2 areas that we can use for septic.
Okay.
So you own A2 and 3?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
And this, who owns A1? Is that you also?
No, I believe that is Jeff Schumacher.
Okay, so
He owns
somebody else
A1, then he comes back around all the way around.
around there.
Yeah, that's-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That helps me. Yeah, sorry, I was confused pointing over there, and I'm like, what the?
I know.
Okay.
It's confusing,
Makes a
but
lot more.
yeah, it does. It flows in. I try to put the back
Okay,
end
now
together.
I can look back at this. Let's see, okay. All right. So on this one, your north property is this boundary right here.
No, sorry. You're still on A2. The north boundary is
No,
this
right
one.
here.
This boundary line is this one right here.
Oh, okay, so-
Because again, we're talking about A3.
So
which
you're
is
not
all-
doing anything on A2?
Right now, we're not doing anything on A2.
Oh, okay, so we're strictly.
We're
on
strictly A3.
Okay, all
Um,
right,
And this boundary line right here is the north property line.
right here.
That's correct.
Okay, so he's not even touching A2. Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, we're not doing anything with that.
All right, I'm with you. Okay. What's going on here?
It's just.
Decided.
Goes-
Okay. All right. Let's go back to. Okay, so you need the front yard variance for the outbuilding. Sure.
Greg, just for clarification, if I can.
Yeah, please.
I'm a contractor. So the reason why I put outbuilding and not pole barn is because the structure, both the build and the exterior is gonna look exactly like the house. So it's not gonna be like a pole barn type of build, you know, with the steel siding and stuff like that. It's gonna look board and batten exactly just like the house. It's also gonna be made out of concrete. I'm gonna be using ICFs for both builds. So I just wanna make sure that I showed why that I'm using that specific type of language instead of a pole barn versus outbuilding.
Thank you.
Well, my pleasure.
And if I remember right, that it's still pretty treed. It's not gonna really be able to see it from the road anyway.
The only way that you're gonna be able to see it is through the driveway, especially in the summertime. That is gonna be there, and I think the plan is we're talking about putting some additional growth into there, like arborvitaes, because a lot of it is actually pines to the south there, where the two, you're familiar with the property? Yeah, okay. To the south side, to the south boundary line, there's like a bunch of planted pine trees that are probably 40 feet tall.
Oh, yeah.
And in between, we want to probably put some arborvitaes in there to make that additional screen. You know, nobody wants to see the house, and we don't really want to see the road, so it's kind of a nice way of looking at it.
I'm familiar with those.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. I rode my bike on that road a long time. Many times.
Yeah, be kind of careful now, it's 55 down there, and they kind of scoop sometimes.
As a kid, town,
Yeah.
you wouldn't guess what, you know, how much of a hill it really is until you come the other way. Well,
Yeah. Well,
going up to kind of stuff.
my buddies and I, we would ride to school and then ride back home. Coming home was a lot easier than going down that hill. In fact, I know this is off track, but I gotta tell you. One time we stopped, and took a bunch of apples from Royce Hyde's orchard, Hilltop. The guy that put me on this board, because he was township supervisor then. And, but we had all these apples, and we're in our t-shirts, and we're eating these apples, coasting down that hill, no hands, you know. Just enjoying, just 14-year-old boys having a good time. Royce pulls up in his Cadillac next to us. He gets, we stop and someone goes, "Where'd you guys get those apples?" From your orchard, Mr. Hyde." "You know, that's how I make my living." "You stole from me." We're like, he goes, "Don't do it again. Get out of here. If I catch you again, I'm gonna take you to the police." Okay. He still reminds me of
Does he really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just impressed.
He's 90 years old. He still hasn't forgotten that.
I'm just impressed that you go down that hill, no hands eating an apple. I'm still stuck on that part.
Smoother. Anyway, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, it looks like you've really done your homework here.
Thank you. It's, sometimes it's very difficult to do mitigation and try and strike a good compromise with
Yeah.
all of the different people that are going to be involved and touched. I mean, we certainly don't want to do anything to damage the environment. We do like to have the wildlife. We've got deer and turkey. I'm sure all of you guys know, and we certainly want them to keep coming around. But we just want to cohabitate with them and make it all worthwhile for everybody.
You guys got any comments or anything? I mean,
There's not much of a building spot there.
No, you're utilizing what you can.
Well,
Yeah,
and thank you for saying that, because that's very important. One of the comments from Jeff Pierce over at Eagle was like, well, why don't you do something on the knoll and then put like a 2 or 3 stage septic field, so it would be a pressure field, going over, because the only 2 spots, as you can see on the health department listing, were they checked the knoll for perk test, and it really didn't perk out well. I saw
the knoll did
report.
not, the knoll did not perk?
It barely perked, because the original people who bought this 2 years ago wanted to put their house in the middle of the block. And I don't think that would, because it was not clearly defined. In fact, do you have this sheet right here?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you do.
Yep.
This one right here? So
Okay,
even the health department didn't know that it was there. So the knoll barely perked, but they couldn't put the house there. So the other option, they said, well, you can put the house on the knoll. You can't, because then you're only going to be, if you put anything 2,000 square foot or less, even going down to 1,200 feet, you're going to be within about 15 feet of the southern boundary. So that really wasn't going to work well for anybody, because that's in people's driveway, and you've got a culvert over there that you gotta monitor as well. So we're not like trapping anything.
right.
So that, and you're right, you're absolutely right. We're trying to make the most out of what we have and kind of make it all work together and work with everybody.
So the closest to the south property line is 43 feet. That's how much the house will be off the south property line.
That's
Just want to make
correct.
sure I'm interpreting.
That's correct.
Okay.
And actually, it turns out, because I pushed it a little bit farther to the knoll to take advantage of some topos that really lend itself that way, and then I shoved it more towards the north just a little bit. So we're actually, it's 43 feet from the one corner with the 20-degree or the 20-foot turn, we're actually 105 back. So it kind of worked out.
On that corner, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of worked out kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then we still can keep the distance to the septic tank and the septic field, which would be F4, which is going to be the one that we're primarily going to use, and F3, we still have the backup, so we're making the county health department, we're kind of satisfying them in this equation as well.
Okay, so that's what that F3.
Yeah, F4 is the one we're going to be using.
That's the main.
That's the main, 120 linear feet of 4-inch, and if you look at the document, it says that down to 6.5 feet, you're into really good sandy loam type of stuff.
Yeah, because I thought that was all sand through there.
It is,
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
but it has about 6 feet of cover, which there is, I think they call it a teacup. Tell me if I'm wasting everybody's time, but they call it a teacup, and that's actually what created that thing. Is it's got a couple of ripples of clay in the bottom, and it just kind of filled up with twigs and leaves and stuff over the years, and it's not anything that has been there for eons. It's just a low depression that kind of filled up and does not drain.
All right, you guys, have any other questions?
Any correspondence?
Well, that's next. I'm
A year
gonna
ago.
I'm gonna close our questions, and then
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask if there's anyone in the audience that has anything to say. And any written correspondence?
No.
All right, well then I guess we'll bring it back to the board for an action.
I'll move to approve it.
Support.
All right, we'll take a vote.
Tim Scarberry,
Yes.
Rich Erickson,
Yes.
Joe Trollman,
Yes.
Don Bonka,
Yes.
Brett Harris.
Yes. All right, thank
Thank
you.
you, gentlemen.
A nice presentation.
Thank you, thank you. I hope it was worthy of your time.
Well put together. Like I said, it looks like you did your homework after you found out what you bought.
It's a process, and I've had this conversation, just kind of going off topic again, but I've had this conversation with Dave Penner over at the county, the Drain Commission.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I'm gonna bump my nose because I've never been involved in this type of situation. So, been doing a lot of research on that type of stuff, and Michigan State University, their online library has been very, very helpful as well, trying to figure out where we can get all these pieces to work together to make everybody comfortable in what we really want. So, a little bit of due diligence goes a long way, and that way you're not wasting anybody's time.
All right, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other
No.
new stuff coming up?
No.
You did say there's some pending next month?
For January 9th, yes.
So put that on your calendars, guys.
January 9th, you said?
Yes. All right, you guys got any comments, anything on your minds? I'll adjourn. All right.
Thank you again.
I walked in down here. Almost like a
Have a good evening, folks.
Bye, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, it is. It's a cool spot.
Very good.
I feel bad.
Like I said, I found deer cans, and I just, that's.
You drive by and you see it getting cleared, and you're like, oh, it's not someone gas.
Well, I love the fact that he owns both those lots.